Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one and only switch hitting golfer that I know, Mr. Andrew Hansen, and we are here to talk about the Arnold Palmer Invitational at the wonderful Bay Hill Country Club. Andrew, how are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, March 2nd?
I'm doing well, thanks. And I actually feel like I'm in the right context here, the right conditions to break down this event because in the Northeast it is very windy today.
Hmm.
Last night we lost power for a few seconds during the NBA coverage. That was a bit of a stressful blip, but we got it back quickly. But then
Good.
overnight, I mean, kind of ravaged the area. The Little League baseball field in town, the roof blew off one of the dugouts and
Oh no.
it flew across the parking lot. So I mean, we're talking major wind, and there could be some significant wind in the event this weekend down in Bay Hill.
Absolutely. And baseball wise, I know you're coaching the youngster. So did you give them all the signs that stealing and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, that'll come soon. I mean, we gotta get the other fundamentals first. Fielding the ground ball and you're hitting your target here because we're talking little leaguers for this group. But yeah, I mean, it feels like baseball because we're talking about
Yes.
indoor workouts here and the dugouts around town, but we still have snow, so we don't have the nice conditions that they have down in Florida.
Well, I'll tell you, Dawson will kill me, and he's going to be doing the NBA show with me next week. But when he was, I think, 6, I did the old baseball coaching deal with him. And I was playing catch with him before the game. And, 6-year-olds or 6-year-old. And he missed the ball, hits him right in the mouth, you know, uh, bleeding, everything, the whole 9 yards. Took him home, and his mom was like, "No, he's not playing baseball. No." So you may want to play catch to the side initially with these guys.
Absolutely.
So Dawson will deny that story too, but it is true. Um, yes, so you're right. I mean, last year was incredibly difficult at Bay Hill. A -4 won the tournament. Tyrrell Hatton is the defending champ. And yeah, they had all kinds of wind issues last year. It was some guys withdrew. It was that bad, but normally this tournament is still tough. It's you're tested here, but 11, 12, 14 under is more like what we could expect if the weather holds. So last year was sort of an outlier, but it's not an easy course. And I know we talked prior, and we're going to talk about some big differences, last week and this week with now being on the Florida swing. You're putting on a completely different surface than you did in California. So, the Bermuda greens, some guys, that's their thing. And, others, if they're in California or Hawaii or whatever, Poe or whatever else they're putting on, is just a whole different role. So you'll see guys like Morikawa last week that won, that was in our winning lineup. And, that's just, he putts much better on that surface. So I think, I know you're going to go over putting. And then, of course, the key factor is the iron play into these greens, because where on some of these courses they're hitting wedge at 9-iron all the time, these guys, you're tested. You're going to have a 5-iron, which for them is like ridiculous. They don't usually have to hit that strong of a club, but they're going to have, 5, 6 irons and have to really try to place it in the right spots on these greens, which makes it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't have last week was the course that we were used to seeing. It was the first PGA event at the concession. But
Yeah.
good old Bay Hill here, we've seen it for 4 decades. And
Yeah.
when I think of this tournament, what I think of are lots of bunkers, lots of water, and that wind. And
Yeah.
you can get some big scores because of the different hazards and bunkers, etc. And so, like you said, you can see some winners here shoot in the teens under par. But the cut is usually around even par. The last few years it's
Right.
been between 1 over and 3 over, so it's usually not a birdie fest. And scrambling is very important around the greens, and then the putting, like you said,
Yeah.
it can come down to who can make the most birdies when they do hit the green, and then the scramble, who can get up and down. So I looked at putting statistics a little bit for this week. I looked at greens in regulation, and that has been the key. If you look at some of the recent winners, the categories they've been high in consistently have been putting and greens in regulation. So we went into those stats this week.
Exactly. And, it's a par 72, about 7,400 yards. So it's not like it's, we've had some longer par 71s that we've had to look at here, and then some, much longer par 72s. But it's a fair distance and a par 72, but it's tough. I mean, there's a lot, like you said, a lot of water. A lot of times, it'll challenge the players to whether they want to go for shots or not. I know the sixth tee, is a par 5, and if the talk is DeChambeau may try to drive it over the lake onto the green on that par 5. So we'll see if he has the gonads to do it, but it would be a pretty amazing shot because it's a long carry.
That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, a couple of things here. Let's go right to the odds board. And
Sure.
I know you're on this one-game losing streak on the quiz here, so I know it bothered you throughout the week. You lost sleep. You weren't eating right. So we're going to give you a chance to get a win today. So I think it's real important to share these odds, because if you really like someone here, this is the time to get the best odds on them before they start shifting around. And plus, it gives you a feel from the DFS perspective, more in golf really than any of the other sports as far as the odds go, because there's a lot baked into Vegas putting those lines together. So we have the favorite here, Rory McIlroy, at 7.5 to 1. DeChambeau is at 11 with Hovland. Tyrrell Hatton, the defending champ, at 15. Im and Reed are at 18. Fitzpatrick, Casey, Matsuyama, all 22. Spieth, 25. Jason Day and Francisco Molinari and Louis Oosthuizen are all 30 to 1. And then Tommy Fleetwood, Billy Horschel, Max Homa, 35. Mark Leishman, my man Will Zalatoris, who might be loving this Bermuda, by the way. Sam Burns, and those guys are 40 to 1. Harris English at 50 to 1, which is, he's got a top 10 here last year. Jason Kokrak is getting a lot of early action. He was 50 to 1. He's 32 to 1. So somebody plunked a couple big nickels on him. And then this is where the challenge comes in. So I gave you the top 20. So we're looking 21 through 25, same thing that stumped you last week. And we're going to go for the 3 in, 3 out. That's how tough it is, because you're the golf guru, so you can pull this off.
All right. Yeah, I think there could be some bigger names here coming up that you haven't mentioned yet. Hopefully I heard everybody you said, but Justin Rose, could he be in this group?
Justin Rose is in the group. He is 22nd. Very good. He's 55 to 1.
How about Ricky Fowler?
He is 25th. So you're 2 for 2. He is at 65 to 1.
All right. And can we go 3 for 3? Did you say Kevin Kisner?
You just missed. He's 27th at 72 to 1. What a nice number on him.
Okay.
So you get one strike.
How about, well, if Kevin Kisner didn't work, how about Kevin Na?
Kevin Na is the next on the list. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
All right.
He is 47 to 1, 21st on the board. So well done. Your other two were Carmen Tringali and Ricky Fowler, both 65 to 1. So well done, sir. Very well done. But that gives the winning streak starting for Andrew again, and that gives the listeners an idea of where Vegas sees this field at this point. So please give us some of these wonderful stats that I know I utilized the last 4 weeks in a row. We've had strong, nice winners in golf. So we're going for the 5-week sweep in PGA. So let's get it done.
Let's do it. Yeah. By the way, I like a couple of those 30 and 40 and 50 to 1 guys, and some of them will pop up here in some of these stats.
Okay.
So, looking at putting, I took a peek at guys who are in the top 20 this season. Who are the hot putters right now, and who's playing this week? Patrick Reed, right at the top. No big surprise there. Louis Oosthuizen, who you mentioned, pretty good odds.
Yeah.
Your man Brendan Todd, who is only 7,300 this week on DraftKings. Solid weekend last weekend, decent finish. Malnati, who has been kind to us in the past,
Yeah.
hasn't really been at the top of his game the last few weeks, but you do get a discount on him if you hope that he puts it back together. He's only 6,500 on DraftKings.
Wow.
Jason Kokrak, maybe this is why. The putter's heating up. He was tied for ninth last week at the
Yep.
WGC event, and he's been. That's the thing, in the past he hadn't had as many top finishes, and then he got in the last year or so his putting's really improved, and
Yep.
the success has really followed. So he's a great putter this year, playing this week. Tyrrell Hatton, as you mentioned, the defending champ. Sam Burns. This is a guy that you've played a lot and had success with,
Yeah.
and he is coming off that third place finish at the Genesis in his last start. So
Yeah,
I like him.
he's 19th in the list. So I mean, he's getting respect from the betting public for sure.
Absolutely. Now, the other category I looked at here for stats this year are greens and regulation.
Okay.
And the top 10 here, there's an interesting group of players. A lot of them are more value plays. And the guy that's first here, greens and regulation this season, who's playing this week, Matthew Neesmith. And he is one of my value plays. I'll just jump right into it. He's 6,900 on
Nice.
DraftKings. And you remember the last time he played, we talked about how the two times before that, his last two starts were tied for 7th and tied for 16th. So
Yeah.
we locked him in on DraftKings, and he got us a tie for 20th. So that's
Beautiful.
3 top 20s in a row for a guy who's only 6,900 on DraftKings.
How about it at betus.com.pa? All the odds I just read to you, he's 110 to 1.
Right. Well, I mean,
There's a nice investment.
it could be, and that's a tall order for him to actually go out and win. But if you shop around, you can find a top 20 bet that you like.
Yeah.
Last week I only made 2 bets. I put a little money on Rory to win. He didn't, obviously, but he finished top 10. And then I found a bet for Cameron Smith, top 40. And he was in the top 10 there for a while, and finished, I believe, top 20. And that was an easy cash. And so, obviously betting for the win is exciting.
Shooting for the stars.
But don't be afraid to look at those top 20 bets. And I
Yeah.
think Neesmith could have some value there.
I like it.
Next on the list here for greens and regulation, Russell Knox. And he's another cheap price here. And the reason that I'm even more attracted to him this week is because of that wind. And, I started thinking about guys who performed well at Pebble Beach recently. We know that that's, right on the coast. Wind is always an issue, colder temperatures. So slightly different conditions than Florida with the temperature. But, Russell Knox was tied for 7th at Pebble Beach this year. And I like his profile for an event like this. If it's going to be windy, just being able to use those irons and get on the greens in all the various conditions.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Cameron Percy is next, another value play, only 6,500. He was tied for 7th last week in Puerto Rico. They had that other event taking place while the WGC event was happening. Emiliano Grillo, another value play, 7,400. He was tied for 11th last week in Puerto Rico. We know he can get hot. Aaron Wise, 6,700. Martin Laird, 6,400. He's won this event before. He has missed his last 3 cuts, so not the greatest form coming in. But for the season, he's been excellent with greens and regulation. And then Victor Hovland. Finally, we have a higher-priced player here.
Do you see the hole he fell apart back and forth for the 8?
I was actually
last week.
watching that, and yeah, it's unfortunate because he was so hot,
He
and then
was.
all of a sudden you get the other, and really interferes with your chances of winning. But
Yeah.
he's coming on here lately, isn't he?
Oh, he is. I mean, he's such a young guy. People forget. I mean, he's still, getting his feet under him. He's always dangerous. Once he, eliminates a few of those blow up, because it seems like he always has a blow up hole or two that really hurt him. And once he eliminates those, he's going to be tough,
Yes, he
tough to
is.
beat. Yeah.
So that was the top 10. There's a couple other guys in the top 20 who are playing. Norlander, 7,200. Corey
Yeah.
Connors, 7,300. And then Sam Burns again. So how about that? He's the only guy here.
Hmm.
Top 10 in putting, top 20 greens in regulation. Not a bad little combo.
Not at all. Not at all. And let me throw this into the mix since it is such a big part of this tournament. I am on weather.com. So now we're covering all the bases for you here. So the forecast there for the tournament, Thursday looks like the best day by far. Sunny, 76, light winds. So Thursday should be getting after it. Friday, just partly sunny, still very light winds, no problems. But here's where it gets tricky after the cut. So I don't think the weather is going to affect making the cut. That's important to know because I know when I see bad weather early in a tournament or winds, rain, I have a tendency to go a little bit more toward the Europeans because they play in it all the time over there. Everything is flat, windy, and wet usually, as often as possible usually in England and Scotland and those places. So, but I don't think it's going to make a difference prior to the cut. Now, listen to this weekend though. This is when it's going to get nasty. You're going to have tougher pin placements for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, it's supposed to be 60% chance of thunderstorms, 16 to 18 mile an hour winds. And then on Sunday, the rain chance goes down and it's going to be partly cloudy, but 18 to 20 mile an hour winds. So, we're going to have two different events here. The Thursday, Friday, and then the Saturday, Sunday is going to be very interesting.
That will make it entertaining. And just enough weather there to make it a factor, I think, for some of our selections.
Definitely.
That pretty much wraps up the stats over there in those categories. I know you had looked at some of the guys who just have had a lot of success here on this course. Did you want to highlight a couple of those?
Yeah, I just put 7 guys down. I usually like to look back, realistically the last 5 or 6 years. And, if it's a tournament where somebody like a Bubba Watson had won 3 or 4 at that, I mean, that means a lot when guys win multiple times in places. But this tournament, I generally usually do like to look at the last 5 years or so because it's more relevant. And once you get past that, you had Jason Day has done great here, but he has not played well. So really this group of 7 is all playing well and have done well here. And so they've zoomed to the top of my list of picks here. Leishman, Sunjae Im, of course, Bryson DeChambeau, he was top 5 last year. Harris English, who I mentioned. Fitzpatrick, I know you like him a lot. He's done super well here. And then if he needed the help, Morikawa has a good history here in his short career. So he was a top 10 last year. And then the other guy is Tommy Fleetwood. He's had multiple good finishes here. Not quite at the top of his game right now, but he's the kind of guy that, with a course like this that he likes, could shoot, upper 60s every day. And, if you look at Hatton's score last year on Saturday and Sunday, he shot 73 and 74 and still won. So it's, you don't have to go low and scorch a 61, 62 like these guys do on some of the trails. Here you just slow and steady and get your 68 or 69 and you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and I think that that course history is very important. And I was going to zero in on Morikawa as well because of that, but I think he has dropped out of the field after winning last week.
Oh, did
So,
he drop out?
yep.
Okay, I did not hear that.
So all the other guys you mentioned are playing again this year,
Okay.
and some of them I do like their form. Bryson, we've talked about here in recent weeks that he's been tinkering with things, his clubs, his swing, his body,
What
and
else is new?
yeah, and he had one of those Jekyll and Hyde type performances last week where he was way up in the 70s and then he was birdieing everything way down in the 60s. So he's one of those really boomer bust guys to me right now. Can he put it all together for 4 consecutive rounds? Leishman also, has had a couple good finishes recently, then tied for 39th last week. I wonder if he's trending down or will he recover that magic that he's had on this course. Fitzpatrick, I like a lot out of the guys you just mentioned. He was number one in putting last year.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that always helps him, and another one of those Europeans that is going to be comfortable in this weather.
Hmm.
And Rory, I was on him last week, and I'm interested in him again here as a former winner. He's actually the guy that right now I'm thinking about paying up for again. Have you
Okay.
have you decided on a guy that you are willing to spend up for?
You know, it's odd for me this week. Normally will pay up like I do for a real expensive guy, and then look for a couple of your great value plays and then balance it out. But this is probably, if I stick with what I have right now, my most balanced lineup. I really don't have any of the low price guys, but I shied away from some of the biggest names. My favorite guy right now is Sunjay M. He's my number one seeded guy. He's not cheap by any stretch, but he's not the highest priced guys in this one. So, it's going to be pretty balanced lineup for me with M probably leading the way.
Okay. I had a couple other random thoughts to add to the mix. Uh, Jordan Spieth making his first appearance here, and he's been playing a lot better. I'm not sure I'm going to pay up for him though on his first time on this course.
Yeah.
There's this award I guess they give out every year that you mentioned. I think that this is an invitational, and they limited it to around 120 players per year,
Yeah.
and it's called the Best Representing the Arnold Palmer Legacy Award,
Hmm.
and Morikawa got it one year, and there's a college player named Matthias Schmid who got it this year. And the reason I mention this award is because one of the other former winners of it, Maverick McNeely, is a guy
Yeah.
that I kind of like this week. He fits that same profile as Russell Knox in terms of playing well in the wind, playing well at Pebble Beach. He finished second in that event, and the value on him at 7,100 on DraftKings, 8,800 on Fanduel. I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So he's a guy I'm looking at, and we often try to get a guy in the 6K range or two to pay up for one of these studs. And if you go with guys like McNeely and Neesmith, then I don't think you necessarily need to go lower than that this week. But there are some guys to consider, and I want to mention 5 or 6 here that I'm looking at. Haven't made any final decisions yet, but some guys that pop out at me for various reasons. Keith Mitchell, 6,700 on DraftKings. He's had a couple really high finishes here. Hasn't been playing great, but maybe if he's back in his home state here, familiar surroundings, he'll get back on track. Lucas Glover, similar. Florida guy, had a stretch here recently where he hasn't been at the top of his game, but played last week in Puerto Rico, finished 39th. He could be trending in the right direction. Kyle Stanley, who we've played recently,
Yeah.
he added another top 40. That's 5 straight top 40s for him. He's
He's
only
playing good golf.
6,500. Um,
Yeah.
you can win in any format, cash, GPP, with a cheap guy who finishes top 40.
No doubt. I mean, getting those value guys through the cut is just such a key. I mean,
Huge.
if you can get all 6 through, then you got a really good fighting chance, because that's hard to do. It's not easy, and sometimes you can cash. You're not going to take down the big bucks, but you're going to cash. If you have 5 really good guys, you get through. But once you start getting 2 guys cut, it's reload for the weekend time. So those guys like that, that you just mentioned are really good players because they're consistent right now, and the chances of them making the cut at a value price, gets half of the value for you, because even if they don't play well on the weekend, they're still gathering points for pars or whatever, and very seldom do you have somebody go backwards in the score once they've made the cut. I mean, it can happen. I've seen it, but that's generally the goal with these guys. And that's why those key value plays are so important, because if you have 2 guys in the top 5 going into the weekend and 2 guys miss the cut, you're not in too good a shape, unfortunately.
That's right. A couple more here to mention. I'm going to mention Steve Stricker if he's playing. And he and his Ryder Cup captain counterpart, Patty Harrington, they're both in the field this week. And he's 6,400. Remember, he finished tied for 4th in Phoenix. So there's a reason I mention him all the time as a 6K guy. And then 3 more. We've got Sepp Straka, who's only 6,400. That's a little bit low for him, I think. Jason Duffner, 6,200.
The Duff. The Duff just, man, what is wrong? What happened to his game, by the way?
He's just one of those boomer bust guys who can get hot with the irons, hit it tight, hit 4 or 5 birdies. He almost always has one of those others. And you get all excited about how he's playing, and then before you know it, he's backed up 3 or 4 shots. Yeah. But he did finish tied for 26th at Pebble Beach. Good price tag for him. And then last guy, Tyler Mccumber, 6,100. He had 2 top 10s back in the fall. And, with a $6,100 player, you're not going to get, 5, 6 straight top 20s. But you want a guy who can finish in the top 10, who's shown that recently, and he has. So there's a GPP option potentially.
Yeah, that's a long one for sure. By the way, I don't know if Stricker will be in the field, because I don't think they're going to let him strap his walker to the back of the cart. So
he manages to get it done. I don't know how he does
it.
Hey,
we rostered him in Phoenix, and he made the cut, and he was. I mean, he didn't just make the cut. He was in the thick of it.
He was in the thick of it.
So,
it's his putting. I mean, it always kind of comes in handy when you're playing these PGA Tour events, and he's won many times on tour. So
no doubt
he still has it. He has it enough to compete.
Well, a couple of things here at DFS Coach Talk. We do this PGA show every Tuesday. It's a weekly show, and it covers the whole entire tournament. We then on Wednesday night, so tomorrow night in our Discord with our members, we'll give out our Draftkings coaches clipboard. I can't say that. Fanduel full lineups for hybrid and GPP, and a Yahoo full lineup. So definitely jump in there. Like I say, we're going for 5 wins in a row here. So you want to jump aboard with that. And then for our members, we don't do a second podcast because this one's still relevant, throughout the weekend. But we will do weekend only lineups on Friday night. We'll put that out around 8:30. And we've done really well on those, and a lot of people just don't follow it well enough on Thursday and Friday, and are looking to get some action for the weekend. So we will put out lineups again on Friday night. So we've got it covered wall to wall here. I love the Florida turn here and swing for golf, because you're getting the earlier tee times, and it allows you to to keep track and watch what's going on. So I'm like the guys I mentioned, but I am gonna probably have a couple foreigners in there, knowing the weekend weather, the Leishmans and Hattons and Fitzpatricks, etc. Will definitely be in play for me. So terrific stuff. We'd love to have you here as a member at DFS Coach Talk. A couple of options right now if you want to just dip your toe in the water, or your golf ball in the water, if you will. You can try our 3-day pass for $10. Just go to dfscoachtalk.com. You can sign up there. And then, Andrew, you want to tell them about this 149 deal that you always want to call 199?
I know. It's even better than that. 149, and you get to be with us for 3 months with full access to all of our sports, all of our lineups. You can do that right through our website at dfscoachtalk.com. Or if you're into sports betting and you're a new customer at betus.com.pa, then go there, make a deposit of 149, use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, and you're going to get to use the 149 at BetUS and get the free membership with us until June 1st. So jump in now so you get the full 3 months here, and you're going to get our lineups in every sport all the way through. We're going to have a lot of fun here this spring. So after you sign up, just let us know on Twitter that you've done that at DFS Coach Talk, and then we'll send you an email and get you into our Discord, and that's where we give out the lineups.
Fantastic. And if you're watching this on YouTube here on the way out the door here, take 2 seconds. That's all it takes. 3 quick clicks. Thumbs up, subscribe, hit the little alert button. This way you know when our podcast post. Makes it way, way easier. And if you want to follow us throughout the day, you can follow all of us at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and I am at JOESARVADI. That is it, my friend. Any final golf words here other than 4?
Yeah,
which is
hit them straight.
Word.
Hit them straight.
Keep them out of the water. Let's see if Bryson goes for the green on the 6th tee. That's going to be fun, and I think it should be a real competitive tournament. You don't have the super high-weighted DJ and all the just JT and these guys. You've got a lot of guys that could possibly win this. A good betting tournament,
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Excellent. All right. Well, we appreciate all of you that are checking it out. Our golf pod is growing ever slowly, and we hope you get some good winners out of this. If you've been following us the last month, I'm sure you're listening to the cha-ching as well. So, we appreciate you. We're back here every Tuesday, and check out the pod throughout the week. It has really good relevance for the weekend action as well. So, for my partner in crime here, Mr. Andrew Hansen, I am Coach. We will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.